All right, so we're going to begin by making the top of the basket, and you might see Mr. Bruce Kitty in the video. So we're going to begin with our J, A, and B pieces. So our A and our B are your background, and your J is the is whatever color you are choosing to make the basket. So you want to draw a diagonal line on your A and B background squares, because we're going to do the stitch and flip method now. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these. Now these are directional, so make sure that you place them in the right direction. So for our first step, we're going to have a left and a right. So I'm going to separate these two. So a left and a right. So here's the A, here's the first A, and we're going to line this up like this. Now, notice the angle. This is the left side. It's coming from the top right down to the bottom left. And on this one over here, I'm going to lay this right on top. It's going to go in the opposite direction. It's going to go from the top left corner down to the bottom right. And we're going to stitch directly on that line, and then we're going to trim a 1/4 inch away from the stitched line. And so we're going to get rid of this right here. Now I don't discard those. I keep those and make either 1/4 square triangles or 1/2 square triangles out of the discard pieces. Also, I'm not going to begin sewing on this corner. I will begin sewing down here where the feed dogs can grab the fabric and pull it through. So let's get started on that. So now for this piece, scoot that over just a little bit. Again, I'm not going to start in the corner. I start down here where the feed dogs can grab the fabric. Now your next step will be to take your rotary cutter and your ruler and trim these away. So I'm going to get those done and get them pressed. So once you cut it, then you take these and you flip in place and you press. Pressing arrows are in the instructions. So now let's do the next part where we need our B squares, and I've already drawn the diagonal line. They're going to go in the same angle as before, so make sure this angle matches here. And now we're going to do this side, same thing. And now we're going to sew on that line and then trim the excess away. And again, these pieces are large, so I'm going to save these. All right, let me get these sewn and I'll meet you right back. Now we're going to go to our K, which is our blue flower, and you're going to need 2 S squares and draw a diagonal line on the back side of your S background fabric squares. And we're going to do the same method that we did up here, which is the stitch and flip. So you're going to sew on the line and trim a 1/4 inch away, flip it in place and press. Do that to both sides and make sure the angles are going in the correct direction. I'm going to get these done and I'll meet you right back here. For the next part of our flower, we're going to need to make a 1/2 square triangle. So you're going to need your V light square, background square, and your V for the blue flower. All right, you're going to go right sides together. And now you're going to sew a 1/4 inch away from this line. Now I'm going to sew these. And I will come right back and I will trim or cut it apart on the drawn line. Okay, so now we're going to cut apart on the drawn line. So I'll show you with the blue flower, and then you'll be able to do this with the red or coral, whatever color you choose to go with. So for the next step, to make the flying geese unit that goes in here, we're going to need the yellow O, the background, or the cream, the white ends, and the same color blue of the flower. All right, so we got to piece the center of the flying geese first. So we're going to lay them like this. So we're going to do these first. Okay. And then the G's will join. Let me move this out of the way. And then the G, the same colors as flower, will line up here. Just like that. Let me move that out of the way. There we go. So we're going to join the ends to the O. Now these are very easy. We're going to take and line up that corner right here. So corner of a triangle, not tip of the triangle, corner of the triangle here. You don't have to offset it, you just line up that corner. So let me sew this one. Before you join this one, you must open and press. Lay it back in place. And now this one, we're going to join this corner of this triangle to the corner right here of that square. You want your background, your white, to go cross over this. It's exactly what you want it to do. And these are true to size, so there's no wiggle room in these. So be careful of your 1/4 inch seam allowance. Way to see that you are doing it correctly is look right here. Can you see this? I have the letter N right here. Can you see the stitch line, how it crosses over right here where the two fabrics make kind of like an intersection? You know you've sewn correctly if that happens. Now it's time to press this one. Okay, that's how it's going to look. And now we're going to join. So lay this back in place. So this tip now is going to align to this one. Just like that. And let me move this piece. And so the tip of the flower is going to come past the O square. That's what it is, the O square. All right. And then we press, open and press. Next one, same thing. This tip, bring this over here. This tip is going to align right there. I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to flip it over so that I can see how I'm sewing it. There we go. Make sure I've got it lined up. So now, oftentimes this happens. There's some unevenness right in here. But when you pull it down, this is nice and straight. But here's, if this happens to you, if there's a little bit of unevenness right here, like this piece and this piece aren't lined up correctly, then you definitely want to trim this off. So I'm going to go and trim it off. So show you, it's probably just slightly off for me. There we go. It is slightly off. But this will get caught in the seam allowance. So I'm not going to worry about this because when I sew the next piece onto this, I'm going to sew it upside down so that I can watch the intersection of these threads right here to make sure that I don't lose that tip. So you can always flip it over and watch right here, because when you sew the next piece on, you don't want to sew on this side of that cross right here where those threads cross. You want to sew on the inside. You want to sew in the seam allowance. And now it's time to move on to the next step. All right, so for the next step, we need to make a left and a right side of the basket, and we need to join this to this. This is the top part of the basket to this flying geese unit, which is the center of the flower. And we need to join these to the bottom of the flower, and then we'll have our side pieces that go over here, the big pieces that we did first. But you need to make sure that you have your left and your rights right here, left and rights completed first. So we're going to have to join these to this. Now make sure before you begin sewing the right one, here's the way the half square triangle is positioned. Now look at the left one. See how they're going out, and the blue will touch the white triangle. Make sure that you have it oriented that way, and then the dark blue triangle will touch the white. And again, we're going to do it just like we've done in the past. We're going to line up these corners just like this, right sides together, and sew. Open it up, and before you press, make sure that the blue is touching the white. Next is going to be this one. So I put it back in place so I make sure that I'm going to do the right thing. Go right sides together. It's corner to corner, not tip to corner. All right, let's join these. And right there, see, it joined, it crossed over right there, which is perfect. And now we're going to take the larger triangle, fold wrong side to find center. Now these I oversize so that you have some wiggle room to trim them down. So I pinch that center And now I'm just going to mark it with my pen so that you can see. All right, so there's the center right there. I'm going to take that center. I'm going to line it right here where these two cross over. Just like that. Line up those raw edges. And then I need to place a pin in this because triangles are kind of like my hair. They have a mind of their own and they'll do their own thing. Now, let's look at this. You can see where the blue extends past our pieced triangle, the dark blue, and that's this area you will trim, all right? And there we go. And so now we're going to press and then we'll trim to size. And remember, you're only going to trim from the navy blue triangle. Oh, look, and those almost matched up perfectly. Didn't even try that. All right. Okay. The same way we did this, you're going to do it that way. So I have my ruler, and you're going to take that diagonal line, and it's going to run right on that half square triangle seam. And the measurement that you're going to need to cut, you want it to lay right along the edge of the pieced portion, okay? All right, so now we're going to hold it steady. I moved it when I touched it. There we go. And now we're going to trim. You can see that the navy blue triangle is past the ruler, and that's how you make those units. Easy, wasn't it? Okay, now you won't be afraid of triangles anymore. Okay, so repeat this process over on this side. Remember, the white is going to touch the blue, the lighter blue, and the navy blue is going to touch the white. Go ahead and join these two right sides together, and then join these two. I'll have it all done in just a minute, and we'll be right back here. As you can see, I have the top of the basket complete. So here's your handles, and here's our first flower. So this is the top section, and now we're going to move on to the next section. So we're going to begin with our R rectangles, S squares, and Q squares. This is a really easy way to make the leaves. You're going to draw a diagonal line on the back side or wrong side of both S and Q squares. We're going to do just like we did before using the stitch and flip method. So you're going to stitch on that line, trim a 1/4 inch away from the line, fold the triangle in place, and press. Repeat over here. Now, this is the left leaf, and this is the right leaf. Notice that the S square is down here in the bottom right corner, and the Q square is in the top left. So make sure that you have them set up the way that they're supposed to go, and that you don't make like 2 lefts or 2 right leaves. All right, I'm going to get these joined, and I'll be back here to show you how to join the L and the P. All right, so join the P strip, the P rectangle, to the top of both of the leaves. I'm going to go ahead and place a pin in both of them, and then we'll get those joined. And after you join the P, the L will go on the outside of both of them. So this L will go on the left side, the outside of the left leaf, and the other L rectangle will go on the right side of the right leaf. All right, let's get these lined up. All right, and these go on the outside, right sides together, and join them. Do not join the leaves together. Please don't do that. There's a stem that goes in between them. All right, next step is to press these. I'm just going to show you by finger pressing. So now we have our leaves. There we go. Just to show you, it's kind of awkward. So see, I've got Bruce in the way. He's in his bed. Heaven forbid we disturb the cat. All right, so see how these are going to go like right in here? And then the stem will go right here. So make sure that you joined the P rectangle where the Q squares were used for stitch and flip. So here are the leaves for the coral and the yellow flower head. So now let's pay close attention to them. It's just stitch and flip. That's why I did not show you how to do them. Now let's go ahead and sew together, or finish sewing together, the coral one. So you're going to join the strip that we made here. And remember, whoops, this is part of the stem, and we'll be joining that to the leaf. So let's get these joined. And what's great about this is there's no seam allowances to line up. So isn't that great? Let's get this sewn. All right, so now the yellow one's on this side, and we place the M rectangle on the inside. So I'm going to place this one here, and the M goes right here. So the M goes on the right-hand side of the red or coral tulip, whichever color you decide to make it. And on the yellow one, it goes on the left-hand side. Just make sure that it goes towards the center of the project. Okay, now we have our other two flowers, tulips, completed. So now it's time to join this center stem. So let's join this one first on this side. I'm going to take this block, just going to roll it back. Yes, and see how they're aligned right here? I'm just rolling it back to double check that they're aligned, and yes, they are. And this one also, this leaf is also aligned with that one. So I'm good. So it really helps if you pin this block. Oh, I just hit my hand. I'm going to go ahead and pin this right here because this seems to want to move. And I'd rather have it stay in place. Let's get this one joined. All right, so now we have, and they are aligned. Yes, this looks good. I just need to give it a press. I like the way that looks. Oh yes, they're aligned. Woohoo! Okay, let me press this, and we're going to finish joining the top, and then I'll grab the top in just a second. Here's the leaves that go on the bottom. Okay, so they'll go right down here. They'll join here, and it should be the same. See how the leaves intercept the blue side of the basket? Okay, so there's that. And then this goes to the top. So we have these. There we go. And these will all line up also. All right, so I've pieced almost all of it, so I'm going to pull it down here. I'm sorry I'm laughing, but I actually have it draped over Bruce, and he's sound asleep, and he's not moving. So, okay, so here you go. So I've got the flowers, the leaves. Oh, it's so cute, and here's the blue flower and the handles of the back. I love this. Okay, now we need to make the bottom of the basket, which is really easy. It is just nothing but stitch and flip, and then you add the side background square rectangle. So let me get set up for that, and I'll be right back.